Sagittarius. This week begins with disruption so sudden that your first instinct may be to laugh it off before realizing how deeply it actually affects you. But you can't outrun this one through motion. Mercury enters Gemini and immediately collides with Uranus, activating your relationships, routines, health, work dynamics, communication patterns, and emotional habits. Something changes unexpectedly. Plans rearrange themselves. Someone behaves unpredictably. Or maybe you suddenly realize you've been emotionally disconnected from your own life while staying endlessly busy. That realization lands harder than expected. Because beneath all your forward movement lately, there's been emotional fatigue building quietly in the background. And this week forces you to notice it. Venus enters Cancer, bringing emotional intensity into intimacy, trust, vulnerability, shared emotions, and psychological attachment. Suddenly, your emotional world becomes deeper than you planned for. Conversations become more revealing. Feelings become harder to intellectualize away. And honestly, part of you is uncomfortable with how much this week asks you to feel instead of escape. Around May 19th, Mercury trines Pluto, while Venus harmonizes with Mars, creating a moment of piercing emotional honesty. Someone may reveal something hidden, or you may suddenly understand that a relationship dynamic has been operating on emotional imbalance for much longer than you admitted. This week removes distractions from the truth, especially the truths you've been avoiding through optimism. And somewhere around the middle of the week, there's a moment where your nervous system signals very clearly that your pace is unsustainable. Fatigue, irritation, emotional numbness, restlessness. Your body may force you to acknowledge stress you've been mentally overriding. Listen carefully. Burnout disguised as freedom is still burnout. Mars entering Taurus also slows your physical rhythm this week, whether you like it or not. You may feel blocked initially, delayed, less spontaneous. But spiritually, this transit is trying to create consistency instead of constant acceleration. That matters because the Sun enters Gemini later in the week and immediately conjuncts Uranus, bringing sudden developments into relationships and daily life. Someone surprises you emotionally. A partnership changes direction quickly. Or you suddenly realize what kind of emotional connection you actually need moving forward. And Sagittarius, the answer is probably quieter than your old patterns expected. Venus square Neptune later in the week creates emotional confusion around longing, nostalgia, family patterns, or romantic projection. You may want to revisit something emotionally familiar simply because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. But familiar is not always healthy, and intensity is not always alignment. This week asks you to stop treating emotional honesty like confinement. The truth is not trapping you. The truth is trying to free you from repeating cycles your spirit already outgrew. By the weekend, your emotional world feels very different. Less performative, less distracted. More aware of what actually nourishes you instead of simply stimulating you. And that awareness? That changes the next chapter of your life completely.
Sagittarius, your tarot card is the King of Cups. This week asks for emotional maturity instead of emotional escape. The King of Cups is deeply feeling energy held with composure, not suppression, regulation. You may find yourself becoming the emotional anchor for someone this week, or realizing you need to become that anchor for yourself. There's also powerful relationship energy around this card. Someone may reveal emotion more openly than expected, or you may finally understand what emotional steadiness actually feels like compared to emotional excitement. And Sagittarius, the difference matters, because your spirit is beginning to outgrow relationships built entirely on stimulation without emotional grounding. Professionally, this card favors diplomacy, emotional intelligence, and calm leadership. People trust your steadiness more than you realize right now. The deeper lesson of the King of Cups is this: real emotional freedom does not come from avoiding feelings. It comes from learning you can survive them honestly.
Sagittarius, you get hexagram 35, fire over earth, progress. This is movement after stagnation. Progress appears when your spirit begins reconnecting with momentum that actually aligns with your deeper future, instead of simply distracting you from discomfort. This week may bring renewed clarity around where your energy truly belongs. There is optimism here, but grounded optimism. Not fantasy, not escapism, real forward movement. You may suddenly realize that some emotional cycles are ending because you have genuinely outgrown them. Not because you failed, because your spirit is ready for a wider horizon emotionally. And emotionally, this hexagram asks you to stop fearing emotional honesty as limitation. Real freedom comes from alignment, not endless avoidance. Your future expands most powerfully now through authenticity, not performance.
Sagittarius, your rune is Sowilo. Sowilo is the rune of illumination, success, vitality, and soul alignment. After emotional confusion or exhaustion, this rune restores clarity through truth. Something becomes unmistakably clear this week. A direction, a realization, a relationship dynamic, or your understanding of yourself. The fog begins lifting now because Sowilo aligns external reality with internal knowing. There is also strong confidence restoration around this rune. Not performative confidence, authentic confidence. The kind that emerges when your actions finally begin matching your deeper values emotionally. And Sagittarius, this rune carries momentum, forward movement, hope grounded in reality instead of fantasy. You may also feel creatively energized or emotionally reconnected to your purpose this week. Follow what reignites your spirit naturally. Sowilo reminds you that your soul functions best in light, not constant emotional avoidance. And this week begins bringing light back into places that have felt emotionally dim for too long.
This week exposed what can no longer survive behind illusion. Some of you saw through emotional inconsistency. Some of you recognized exhaustion you've been disguising as resilience. And some of you finally stopped negotiating with truths your intuition already understood months ago. That clarity matters. If this reading resonated, leave a comment telling me what you finally stopped denying this week. I read more of your stories than you probably realize. And watch your rising sign too. Your rising sign often reveals the deeper transformation happening underneath the visible events. Protect your energy carefully this week. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your spirit.